Dr. Alina Vasquez stood in her small laboratory, staring at the withered plant samples that covered her desk. For 3 years, she had been studying how alien ecosystems were dying across the galaxy. And for 3 years, she had been running. Out of money to continue her research, government funding had dried up, and private investors thought her work was too risky. Alina was not just any scientist. She was one of the few people on Earth who truly understood how life worked on other planets. Her research could save entire worlds, but she needed better equipment and more resources than Earth could provide. Every night, she went home knowing that somewhere in the galaxy, another ecosystem was probably dying while she sat here, unable to help. The answer came from an unexpected source. The Zephyrians had arrived at Earth 5 years ago, not as invaders, but as friends. They were tall, elegant beings with skin that changed colors like a rainbow. Their technology was hundreds of years ahead of humans, and they had offered to share some of it through scientific partnerships. Alina had heard about other scientists working with Zephyrians, but she never imagined they would be interested in her research. Then one morning, she received a message that changed everything. The Zephyrian Empire wanted to meet with her about funding her ecosystem research. They were offering her unlimited resources, the best equipment in the galaxy, and access to their most advanced laboratories. There was just one catch that made Alina's heart skip a beat. The meeting took place in a sleek conference room at the Interstellar Research Institute. Alina walked in wearing her best suit, trying to look professional despite her nervous excitement. Across from her sat Ambassador Kelthara, one of the most respected Zephyrian diplomats on Earth. He was nearly 7 feet tall, with skin that shimmered between blue and silver. His eyes were large and kind, but there was something serious about the way he looked at her. "Dr. Vasquez," he said in perfect English, though his voice had a musical quality that made every word sound like a song. "I've studied your work for many months. The research on dying ecosystems is exactly what the galaxy needs." Alina felt a surge of pride. "Thank you, Ambassador. I believe we can save many worlds if we understand how to heal damaged environments. That is why we wish to offer you our full support," Kelthara continued. "However, there is something about Zephyrian culture you must understand. We do not simply give money and resources like human organizations do. Our partnerships are much deeper." Alina leaned forward, curious, but also worried. "What do you mean?" Kelthara's skin shifted to a deeper blue, which Alina had learned meant he was being very serious. "In our culture, when two scientists work together on something as important as saving lives, they must form what we call a life service contract. It is similar to what humans might call a marriage, but it is focused on shared purpose and mutual support." Alina felt her mouth go dry. "A marriage? But we barely know each other. Not exactly a marriage as humans understand it," Kelthara explained gently. "It is a bond between two people who commit to supporting each other's work and well-being. In our culture, I would pledge to serve your research goals and ensure your success. You would become my honored partner, and I would dedicate my life to helping you achieve your scientific dreams." Alina stared at him, trying to process what he was saying. This was not what she had expected when she came to the meeting. She had imagined getting a research grant, not entering into some kind of alien arrangement that sounded like a combination of marriage and employment. "Why me?" she asked. "There are many other scientists who might be better suited for this kind of partnership." Kelthara's skin brightened slightly, showing what Alina had learned was equivalent to a smile. "I have watched your work from afar, Dr. Vasquez. You care deeply about preserving life, even life that is not human. You work late? Into the night. Not for fame or money, but because you truly want to help. This dedication is rare, even among my own people." Alina felt touched by his words, but she was still confused about the practical aspects. What would this partnership actually involve? What would be expected of me? "It would continue your research, but with access to our most advanced technology and unlimited funding. I would work alongside you as your partner and assistant. According to our customs, I would be responsible for your well-being and success. You would make the important decisions about the research, and I would support you in every way possible." Alina's mind raced. This could be the opportunity she had dreamed of, but it came with complications she had never imagined. And if I don't agree to this arrangement, then we part as friends, and you continue your important work with whatever resources you can find on Earth, Calthera said simply. But Dr. Vasquez, I must tell you something. The ecosystems you study are dying. Faster than you realize. Without our technology, you may not be able to save them in time. Alina looked at her hands, thinking about all the dying worlds she had studied, all the species that might disappear forever if she could not find a way to help them. She thought about her small laboratory and her limited resources, and she knew that Calthara was right. She could spend the rest of her life trying to solve these problems with Earth's technology, but it might not be enough. What exactly would this contract involve? She asked. What are the legal implications? Calthar explained that the contract would be recognized by both Earth and Zephyrian law. They would undergo a bonding ceremony that would create a connection between them, allowing them to work together more effectively. He would be bound to protect and support her, while she would be recognized as the senior partner in their relationship. The ceremony is not painful, he assured her. It simply creates a link between us that helps us understand each other better. Many human-Zephyrian partnerships have been successful using this method. Lena spent the next week thinking about the decision. She talked to other scientists who had worked with Zephyrians, and they all told her similar stories. The aliens were incredibly dedicated partners who truly did put their human colleagues' success first. But they also warned her that the relationships were intense and life-changing. Finally, Alina made her decision. She thought about all the worlds that were dying, all the species that could be saved, and all the good that could come from this partnership. She was a scientist first, and her duty was to preserve life wherever she found it. She called Calathara and told him she would accept the contract. I am honored by your trust, Dr. Vasquez, he said, and she could hear the genuine happiness in his voice. I promise you will not regret this decision. Together, we will save more worlds than either of us could help alone. As Alina hung up the phone, she felt a mixture of excitement and terror. She was about to enter into the most unusual partnership of her life, with an alien being she barely knew, but she was also about to gain access to technology and resources that could help her achieve her greatest scientific dreams. She had no idea that this decision would change not just her research, but her entire understanding of what it meant to care for another being. 2 weeks after signing the contract, Lena found herself on a shuttle, heading to the Zephyrian diplomatic station that orbited Earth like a massive silver moon. Through the small window, she could see the station's elegant curves and glowing lights. It looked more like a work of art than a building, nothing like the boxy space stations that humans built. Elena's hands were shaking as she checked her luggage for the 10th time. She had packed everything she owned into 3 suitcases, not knowing how long she would be living on the station. The whole situation felt surreal. 3 weeks ago, she had been a struggling scientist working alone in a tiny lab. Now she was about to begin a new life, with an alien partner she had only met once. The shuttle docked with a soft hiss, and Alina stepped into the station's receiving area. The first thing that struck her was how beautiful everything was. Walls seemed to glow with their own light, and the air smelled like flowers she had never encountered before. Everything was designed for beings much taller than humans, but somehow it didn't feel uncomfortable. Dr. Vasquez, welcome to station. Harmony. Alina turned to see Calthera approaching, and she was struck again by how impressive he looked. His skin was shifting between soft gold and blue colors, and he moved with a grace that made her feel clumsy by comparison. But what surprised her most was the way he immediately bowed his head when he saw her. Honored partner, he said formally. I hope your journey was comfortable. I have prepared quarters for you and arranged everything according to your preferences. Alina felt awkward. Please, just call me Alina, and thank you for the preparations, but you didn't need to bow. Calthara's skin flickered with what she was learning to recognize as confusion, but you are my honored partner. It is proper for me to show respect in this way. As they walked through the station's corridors, Lena noticed that other Zephyrians they passed also bowed slightly when they saw her. She felt like she was in some kind of strange dream where everyone was treating her like royalty. Calthera, she said, I need to understand something. What exactly does this partnership mean in your culture? Everyone is treating me like I'm Some kind of important person. You are an important person, he replied seriously. You are my chosen partner, which means you hold a position of great honor in our society. My role is to ensure your success and well-being in all things. Alina stopped walking, but that doesn't sound like a partnership. It sounds like you're supposed to be my servant. Lothara's skin shifted to a deeper blue, and Alina could sense that he was trying to find the right words.
In your language?
The word servant has negative meanings. In our culture, to serve another's highest purpose is the greatest honor one can achieve. I chose to serve your scientific mission because I believe it is noble and important. Alina felt more confused than ever. But you're clearly more advanced than me. Your people have technology that's hundreds of years ahead of ours. Why would you want to serve someone who knows less than you do? Knowledge and wisdom are not the same thing, Kalthara said gently. You have something that many of my people lack. You have what you humans call passion. You care deeply about preserving life, even life that is not your own. This passion drives you to work harder and think more creatively than those who only seek knowledge for its own sake. Alina found herself blushing at his words. No one had ever described her work that way before. Kalthara led her to her new quarters, which were more like a luxury apartment than anything she had ever lived in. The rooms were spacious and filled with beautiful furniture that seemed to adjust to her size automatically. There were windows that showed stunning views of Earth and space, and a work area that was already equipped with equipment she didn't recognize. I have prepared a laboratory for us to work in, Kalthara explained, but first, we must complete the bonding ceremony. It is necessary for our partnership to work properly. Alina felt nervous again. What exactly happens during this ceremony? We'll share a small portion of our life energy, he explained. It will allow us to understand each other's thoughts and feelings when we are working together. It will also allow me to better protect and support you. Alina wasn't sure what to expect, but she had come this far. The ceremony took place in a circular room filled with soft light. Kalthara had her sit in a comfortable chair while he placed his hands near her shoulders, not quite touching. You may feel a slight tingling sensation, he warned her. Do not be afraid. Alina felt a warm, gentle energy flowing between them. It was like nothing she had ever experienced before. For a moment, she could sense Kalthara's thoughts and emotions, and she was surprised by what she found. He was nervous too, but also excited about their partnership. She could feel his genuine respect for her work and his desire to help her succeed. When the ceremony was complete, Alina felt different. She was more aware of Kalthara's presence, and she could sense his emotions more clearly. It wasn't overwhelming, but it was definitely strange. How do you feel? He asked. Alina admitted, I can sense that you're worried about something. Kalthara's skin shifted to a slightly embarrassed color. I am concerned that you will find our working relationship uncomfortable. Many humans struggle with our cultural practices at first. Alina could indeed sense his worry, but she also felt something else from him. There was a deep satisfaction and happiness that he was trying to hide. She realized that this partnership meant as much to him as it did to her, just in different ways. Over the next few days, Alina began to understand what Kalthara meant about their working relationship. He would arrive at the laboratory before she did, having already prepared everything she might need. He would bring her meals without being asked, and he seemed to anticipate her needs before she even knew she had them at first. Alina felt uncomfortable with the attention. She kept telling him he didn't need to do so much for her, but he would always respond that it was his privilege to support her work. She began to realize that refusing his help actually made him feel bad, as if she was rejecting his culture. In his way of showing respect, the breakthrough came when they began working on their first research project together. Alina had brought samples of a dying ecosystem from a distant planet, and she was trying to understand why the soil had become toxic to plant life. She had been struggling with the problem for months, but with Kalthara's advanced equipment, they were able to analyze the samples in ways that were impossible on Earth. The contamination is not chemical, Kalthara observed, studying the data. It appears to be some kind of energy disturbance. Alina looked at the readings, and suddenly, everything clicked. It's not contamination at all, she said excitedly. The planet's magnetic field has been disrupted. The soil isn't toxic, it's just energetically unbalanced. Working together, they developed a solution that could restore the planet's natural energy balance. Alina felt a surge of joy and accomplishment unlike anything she had ever experienced. Through their bond, she could feel that Calthera was equally excited about their success. "We did it," she said, turning to him with a huge smile. "You did it," he corrected her. "I merely provided the tools. Your insight made the solution possible." Lena looked at him, finally beginning to understand. He wasn't diminishing himself, or acting like a servant. He was genuinely proud of her achievement, and his joy came from helping her succeed. For the first time since arriving at the station, Alina felt like she might actually be able to make this unusual partnership work, but she also realized that understanding Kael'thara's culture was going to be more challenging than she had imagined. Every day brought new surprises and new questions about what their relationship really meant. 3 months had passed since Alina arrived at the space station, and she was finally starting to feel at home. Every morning, she would wake up to find that Kahalthera had already prepared her favorite breakfast and organized her research materials for the day. At first, this had made her uncomfortable, but now she was beginning to understand that this was how he showed care and respect. Alina had learned to read the color changes in Kalthara's skin, like a human might read facial expressions. Golden colors meant he was happy, blue meant he was focused or serious, and silver meant he was worried about something. She had also discovered that he had a wonderful sense of humor, though it was very different from human humor. Their research was going better than Alina had ever dreamed possible. They had already developed solutions for 3 different dying ecosystems, and their work was being praised by scientists across the galaxy. But what surprised Alina most was how much she enjoyed working with Kalthara. He never tried to take credit for their discoveries, and he always made sure she felt confident in her decisions. "Alina," Kalthara said one morning as they worked in the laboratory, "I have been thinking about your concerns regarding our partnership." Alina looked up from her microscope. "What concerns? You still seem uncomfortable when I attend to your needs. I can sense through our bond that you worry about our relationship being unequal." Alina sighed. She had been trying to hide these feelings, but apparently their connection made it impossible to keep secrets. "I just don't understand why someone as capable as you would want to spend your life serving someone else's goals." Kalthara's skin shifted to a warm gold color, and Alina could sense that he was about to share something important. "Let me tell you a story about my people. Long ago, the Zephyrians were a very selfish race. We were advanced, but we only cared about our own achievements. We nearly destroyed ourselves fighting over who was the greatest scientist, the most powerful leader, the most accomplished individual." Alina found herself drawn into his story, setting down her work to listen. "Then we discovered something that changed everything," Kael'thara continued. "We learned that true greatness comes not from personal achievement, but from helping others achieve their potential. When I serve your research, I am not diminishing myself. I am becoming part of something greater than either of us could accomplish alone." Alina felt a warm sensation through their bond as he spoke. She could sense that he truly believed every word he was saying. "But what about your own dreams?" she asked. "What about the things you want to achieve?" "My greatest dream is to help preserve life throughout the galaxy," he said simply. "When I help you succeed, I am achieving my dream. When you make a breakthrough, I feel as proud as if I had made it myself." Alina was quiet for a long moment, processing what he had said. Through their bond, she could feel his sincerity and his genuine joy in their partnership. She was beginning to understand that what she had seen as inequality was actually a form of love and respect that was deeper than anything she had ever experienced. That understanding was put to the test sooner than she expected. It was late one evening when the alarm bells started ringing throughout the station. Lena was in her quarters, reviewing research data, when Kalthara burst through her door. His skin was flashing between silver and deep blue, colors she had never seen him display before. "Lena, we must leave immediately," he said urgently. "The station is under attack." Elena's heart started racing. "Attack? By who? Space pirates?" "They have learned about our bioregenerative technology and want to steal it. They're willing to destroy the station to get it." Elena could hear explosions in the distance, and the station's lights were flickering. She had never been in a dangerous situation like this before, and she felt paralyzed with fear. "What do we do?" she asked. Kelthara moved to her computer terminal and began downloading all of their research data onto portable drives. "We protect the research first, then we get you to safety." Alina watched in amazement as Kalthar worked with incredible speed and efficiency. His movements were precise and controlled, nothing like the gentle, deferential being she had come to know. She realized that he had been holding back his true capabilities out of respect for her. "Alina, take these drives and go to the emergency escape pods," he said, handing her the research data. "I will stay here and make sure the pirates cannot access our laboratory." "I'm not leaving you," Alina said firmly. Kelthara's skin flashed. "With surprise, it is my duty to protect you. You must go." "And it's my duty as your partner to stay with you," Alina replied, surprising herself with her determination before Kalthara could argue. They heard the sound of the laboratory door being forced open. 3 figures in dark spacesuits entered, carrying weapons that Alina didn't recognize but that looked very dangerous. "Stay behind me," Kalthara whispered. And Alina watched in shock as he seemed to transform before her eyes. The gentle, caring being she had come to know was replaced by someone who moved like a warrior. Kalthara's skin shifted to colors she had never seen before, deep purples and blacks that seemed to absorb light. He moved with impossible speed, disarming the first attacker before Alina could even blink. The fight was over in seconds. The 3 pirates were unconscious on the floor, their weapons scattered around the room. Alina stood there with her mouth open, staring at Kalthara in amazement. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his skin shifting back to worried silver as he checked her for injuries. "I'm fine," Alina managed to say. "But you, how did you do that?" Ulthera looked embarrassed. "I have been trained in combat, but I did not want to frighten you by showing this side of my abilities. I have been trying to be gentle and non-threatening." Alina felt a rush of emotions through their bond. She could sense his fear that she would be afraid of him now, his worry that she would see him as violent or dangerous. But what she actually felt was something entirely different. "You've been holding back," she said. "All this time you've been restraining yourself because you thought it would make me more comfortable. I wanted you to see me as a supportive partner, not as a warrior," he admitted. Alina looked at him with new understanding. She had been worried about their partnership being unequal, but she had been thinking about it completely wrong. Kalthara wasn't serving her because he was weak or subservient. He was choosing to focus his considerable abilities on supporting her work because he believed it was important. "I'm not afraid of you," she said softly. "I'm grateful. Could have easily escaped and left me behind, but you chose to protect me in our research." Through their bond, Alina could feel Kalthara's relief and joy. She also felt something else, something that made her heart beat faster. There was a deep affection in his emotions, a caring that went beyond professional partnership or cultural duty. As they worked together to secure the laboratory and help the station's security forces deal with the remaining pirates, Lena found herself seeing Kalthara in a completely new light. He wasn't just her research partner or her cultural guide. He was someone who had chosen to dedicate his life to her success, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. For the first time since arriving at the station, Alina began to wonder if their partnership might be becoming something more than either of them had originally planned. The thought scared her, but it also filled her with a warmth that had nothing to do with their bioenergetic bond. As they finally returned to her quarters late that night, Lena realized that she was no longer thinking about Kalthara as an alien being who happened to be her partner. She was thinking about him as someone she cared about, someone she couldn't imagine living without. In the weeks following the pirate attack, Alina found herself thinking about Kalthara in ways she had never expected. She would catch herself watching him work, noticing the graceful way he moved his hands or how his skin would glow softly. When he was concentrating, the bond between them had grown stronger, and she could feel his emotions throughout the day, like a gentle current running beneath her own thoughts. Their research continued to break new ground. They had developed a revolutionary technique for restoring damaged ecosystems. It was already being used to heal 3 different planets. Lena's name was becoming known throughout the galaxy, and she was receiving invitations to speak at conferences and collaborate with other scientists. But what made her happiest was sharing these successes with Kael'thara. "Lena," he said one morning as they worked in the laboratory, "I have received some news that I need to share with you." Alina looked up from her computer screen. Through their bond, she could sense that he was feeling conflicted about something. "What kind of news?" she asked. Kael'thara's skin shifted to a deep blue, the color he displayed when he was being very serious. "The Zephyrian High Council has offered me a position as their chief scientific advisor. It is one of the highest honors our society can bestow." Alina felt her heart skip a beat. "That's wonderful news. You must be very excited." But through their bond, she could feel that he wasn't excited at all. Instead, he seemed troubled and uncertain. "I have declined the position," he said quietly. Alina stared at him in shock. "You what? But why? It sounds like an incredible opportunity." "'Cause accepting it would mean leaving our partnership," Kael'thara explained. "Would have to return to the Zephyrian homeworld and serve the High Council. I cannot do both." Alina felt a wave of emotions wash over her. Part of her was touched that he would give up such an important position for their partnership, but another part of her felt terrible guilt, as she couldn't let him sacrifice his career for her. "Oh, Thara, you have to take this job," she said firmly. "I won't let you give up your future for me." His skin flickered with surprise. "But our contract binds me to serve your research. I cannot abandon you." "Then maybe it's time we talked about our contract," Alina said, her voice shaking slightly. "I need to know something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." Kael'thara nodded, his full attention on her. "Are your feelings for me real, or are they just a result of our bioenergetic bond?" she asked. "Would you care about me if we weren't connected this way?" Alina had been struggling with this question for weeks. She had developed deep feelings for Kael'thara, but she was terrified that what she felt through their bond might not be genuine. How could she know if his devotion was real, or if it was just an artificial effect of their connection? Kael'thara was quiet for a long moment, his skin shifting through several colors as he considered her question. "I have wondered the same thing," he admitted. "Our bond does create a connection between us, but I do not believe it creates false emotions. I think it simply allows us to feel what was already there." Alina felt her heart racing. "What do you mean?" "I chose you as my partner before we ever met," Kael'thara said. "I studied your work for months, and I was drawn to your passion and dedication. The bond did not create my respect for you. It simply allowed me to feel it more clearly." Alina could sense through their connection that he was telling the truth, but she still felt uncertain. How could she trust her own feelings when they were so influenced by their artificial bond? "I think we need to test this," she said, surprising herself with her boldness. "I want to temporarily dissolve our bond." Kael'thara's skin flashed with alarm. "Alina, that could be dangerous. Our bond has been in place for months. Removing it suddenly could cause psychological damage to both of us." "But if we don't do it, we'll never know if what we feel is real," Alina said. "I need to be sure, Kael'thara. I need to know that if I care about you, it's because I choose to, not because of some alien technology." Alina could feel his fear through their bond, but she could also sense his understanding. He knew that she was right, even though the idea frightened him. "If that is what you truly want," he said slowly, "then we can ask the medical team to temporarily suppress our bond. But Alina, you must understand that this will change everything between us. We will not be able to sense each other's emotions or thoughts. We will be like strangers again." Lena felt a pang of loss at the thought, but she knew it was necessary. "How long would we need to be separated?" "At least 2 weeks," Kael'thara said. "Long enough for our minds to adjust and for us to understand our true feelings." Alina took a deep breath. "Then let's do it." The process of temporarily dissolving their bond was more difficult than Alina had expected. It required several hours of careful medical procedures, and when it was over, Alina felt like a part of herself had been cut away. She could no longer sense Kael'thara's presence or feel his emotions. The silence in her mind was almost overwhelming. For the first few days, Alina felt lost and confused. She had grown so accustomed to the constant awareness of Kael'thara's feelings that being alone in her own mind felt strange and empty. She found herself wondering what he was thinking, what he was feeling, and whether he missed their connection. As much as she did, Calthera had moved to different quarters on the station to give them both space to process their emotions independently. Alina saw him occasionally in the corridors, but they barely spoke. Without their bond, he seemed like a different person, more formal and distant. Alina threw herself into her work, trying to distract herself from the emptiness she felt. But she found that researching alone wasn't as satisfying as it had been when she was working with Calthara. She missed his insights, his gentle encouragement, and the way he would anticipate her needs before she even knew she had them. By the end of the first week, Alina realized something important. The emotions she was feeling weren't artificial effects of their bond. They were genuine feelings of loneliness, loss, and longing. She missed Calthera, not because some alien technology was making her miss him, but because she had genuinely come to care about him as a person. She also realized that she had been thinking about their relationship all wrong. She had been so worried about whether their feelings were real that she had forgotten to ask herself what she actually wanted. And what she wanted was to be with Calthera, bond or no bond. On the 10th day of their separation, Alina made a decision. She went to find Calthara in his temporary quarters, her heart pounding with nervousness. When he opened the door, she was struck by how tired he looked. His skin was a dull gray color that she had never seen before, and his usual graceful posture seemed slumped with exhaustion. "Alina," he said, his voice formal and distant. "Is everything all right? I need to tell you something," she said. "Been thinking about us, about our partnership, and about what I want." Calthara's skin shifted slightly, showing a hint of the silver color that meant he was worried. "What have you decided?" "I've decided that I don't care if our bond influenced my feelings," Alina said. "What matters is how I feel now when we're separated. And what I feel is that I miss you, not just as a research partner, but as a person. I care about—" Alina could see surprise and hope flickering across Calthara's features. "You miss me, miss working with you, talking with you, and sensing your emotions," Alina said. "I miss the way you would bring me tea without being asked, and how you would get excited about our research breakthroughs. I miss feeling like I'm part of something bigger than myself." Calthara's skin began to brighten slightly. "I have missed you as well, more than I thought possible. These past 10 days have been the loneliest of my life." Alina felt a surge of relief and joy. "Then let's not waste any more time. Let's restore our bond and figure out what we want our partnership to really be." As they walked together toward the medical bay, Alina realized that she had learned something important about herself. She wasn't afraid of the intensity of their connection anymore. She was ready to embrace it and see where it might lead them. The restoration of their bond was nothing like Alina remembered from the first time. When Calthara placed his hands near her shoulders and their energies connected, it felt like coming home after a long journey. The familiar warmth spread through her mind, but this time it carried with it the knowledge that what she was feeling was real and chosen. "How do you feel?" Calthara asked, his skin glowing with soft golden colors that Alina now recognized as pure happiness. "Complete," Alina said, and she meant it. Through their renewed connection, she could feel his joy and relief, but also something deeper. There was a love there that had nothing to do with their contract or cultural obligations. It was simple, honest affection between two beings who had chosen to care about each other, but Alina knew that just restoring their bond wasn't enough. They needed to talk about what their partnership would look like going forward. "Calthara," she said, "we need to discuss the offer from the High Council. I still think you should consider taking it." His skin shifted to confused blue. "But we have just renewed our bond. Why would I leave now?" "Because I don't want you to give up opportunities for me," Alina explained. "I want us to be true partners, which means we both get to pursue our dreams." Alina had been thinking about this during their separation. She realized that a real partnership meant supporting each other's goals, not just one person serving the other's ambitions. "What if we could find a way for you to accept the position and for us to continue working together?" she suggested. Calthara considered this. "The High Council position would require me to advise on scientific matters throughout the galaxy. I would travel to many different worlds." "Then I'll come with you," Alina said. "Think about it. Study ecosystems across the galaxy, not just work on them from a distance. We could see firsthand how our solutions are working and develop new techniques. Alina could feel Kalthara's excitement growing through their bond. You would be willing to leave this station, to travel among the stars? If it means we can continue our work together and you can achieve your dreams too, then yes, Alina said. But I have one condition. What condition? Alina took a deep breath. I want us to create a new kind of contract, not a service agreement, where you're bound to support me, but a true partnership where we're both equal. I want to know that you're with me because you choose to be, not because some legal document says you have to be. Kalthara's skin went through several color changes as he processed what she was saying. Alina could sense his surprise, his consideration, and finally his growing excitement about the idea. You want to rewrite centuries of Zephyrian tradition? He asked. I want to create something new, Alina said. Something that honors both of our cultures, but isn't bound by either one's limitations. Over the next few weeks, Alina and Kalthara worked together to design a new type of partnership. Agreement. Instead of a service contract, they created what they called a collaborative bond agreement. In this new arrangement, both partners were equal. Both could pursue their own goals. And both were committed to supporting each other's success. When they presented their proposal to the Zephyrian High Council, Alina was nervous. She was asking an ancient alien civilization to change their traditional practices based on her human ideas about partnership. The council meeting took place in a magnificent chamber aboard the largest Zephyrian ship in the fleet. Alina found herself sitting across from 12 of the most important beings in Zephyrian society, all of them studying her with curiosity. Dr. Vasquez, said the council leader, her skin shifting through rainbow colors that Alina had learned, indicated deep thought. You are asking us to approve a type of partnership that has never existed in our culture. Yes, Alina said, trying to keep her voice steady. But with respect, your traditional partnerships have never included humans. Before either. Our species think differently, and we need agreements that work for both of us. Alina explained how their new partnership would benefit not just her and Kalthara, but could serve as a model for future human-Zephyrian collaborations. She talked about how equality and partnership had led to their greatest research breakthroughs. Kalthara and I work as true equals, she said. We accomplish more than either of us could alone. My human creativity, combined with his advanced knowledge, creates solutions that neither of our species had developed independently. The council deliberated for hours while Alina and Kalthara waited in an adjoining chamber. Alina could feel his nervousness through their bond, but also his admiration for her courage in challenging such an ancient system. Finally, they were called back into the chamber. Dr. Vasquez, the council leader, said, We have decided to approve your collaborative bond agreement. Furthermore, we are offering you both a new position. You will serve as our first interspecies partnership coordinators, helping to develop similar agreements between Zephyrians and other species throughout the galaxy. Alina felt a rush of joy and excitement. This was more than she had ever dreamed possible. We accept, she said, looking at Kalthara, who was glowing with happiness. 6 months later, Alina found herself standing on the observation deck of the most advanced research vessel in the Zephyrian fleet. Through the large windows, she could see a beautiful planet covered in purple and gold vegetation. This was their 10th world, and their bioregenerative techniques had successfully restored its dying ecosystem. The atmospheric readings are perfect, Kalthara said, joining her at the window. The plant life is thriving again, Lena smiled, feeling a deep satisfaction that had nothing to do with their bond and everything to do with the work they were accomplishing together. We make a good team. We make an excellent team, Kalthara corrected, his skin shifting to warm gold. More than that, we make excellent partners. Alina could feel through their connection that he meant this in every possible way. They were research partners, life partners, and pioneers in a new kind of relationship that neither of their species had imagined before. What's our next destination? Alina asked. A water world in the Centauri system? The ocean ecosystems are failing, and the local population has requested our help. Alina felt a familiar excitement building. Each new world brought new challenges and new opportunities to make a difference. But what made it truly special was that she was facing these challenges with someone who understood her completely. You know, Alina said, when I first signed that contract, I thought I was just getting funding for my research. And what do you think you got instead? Kalthar asked. Alina looked at him, this amazing being who had chosen to share his life with her, and felt overwhelmed with gratitude for the strange series of events that had brought them together. I got a partner, she said. A real partner. Someone who challenges me to be better, supports my dreams, and shares my passion for making the universe a better place. And I got someone who taught me that true service isn't about following orders or ancient customs, Kalthara replied. It's about choosing to dedicate yourself to something you believe in, alongside someone you love. As their ship prepared to jump to the next star system, Alina reflected on how much her life had changed. She had started as a lonely scientist, working in a small laboratory, worried about funding, and struggling to make a difference. Now, she was part of something bigger than she had ever imagined. Working to heal entire worlds alongside a partner who had become the most important person in her life, their collaborative bond. Agreement had become a model used throughout the galaxy, proving that different species could work together as true equals. They had saved dozens of worlds, trained hundreds of other scientists, and helped establish peaceful relationships between civilizations that had never communicated before. But for Alina, the greatest achievement wasn't the planets they had saved, or the recognition they had received. It was the relationship they had built together, one that honored both of their cultures while creating something entirely new. They had proven that love and partnership could transcend species, culture, and even the vastness of space itself. As the stars shifted outside their window, and they headed toward their next adventure, Alina knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as true partners in every sense of the word.